anymore on these drafts because we can see exactly how they'll perform in game number 1 between Tundra and Cade Stars. And Tundra should be the favorites going into this matchup purely based on their scoreline right now, which is 4-0. But Cade Stars did surprise us last series. They did take one game off Quest, and they looked like they were about to take the second. So we'll see if Tundra can remain undefeated after this series. Thompson does get sharded up, but seems more than happy to just fight against King RD. He does have 4 heroes behind him. You know, it's kind of expected he just turns around and fights.
Yep. And I like that sneaky little play that Snaking immediately did. As soon as the game loaded in, TP down mid, plant a ward, not going to be spotted by anyone, gets forward the sentry as well. So he managed to get that instant D ward and just win the ward trade already.
Very
you have
nice.
a sentry ready on the side of VKS, so you can try to spot that out, but they're not going to be able to get too sneaky here with a really nice position ward. Again, Snaking, giant nerd, as everyone in Tundra is, as we lovingly call them, the giant nerds of Dota. Doing nerdy plays.
Giant wealthy nerds. Giant, very wealthy nerds. Yeah.
They could be wealthier if they win a second TI, you know?
Better avoid the jokes I was about to make here, John. We'll look into the top lane. I think you've got 9 against, 9 and 33 against KJ, and of course Costa Bile. This top lane, like, I think it could be very detrimental for Cade Stars. Like, sure, the Gyrocopter Venge is a strong duo in and of itself, but once you hit level 2 or even level 3 here for 9, along with the Cinderbrew and the Thunderclap, it's just so hard to walk away.
Yeah, it's going to be really annoying. Like, the Venge can't really do too much to stop that as well. I think the key thing is to always just play with Flak and Wave of Terror, because the minus armor plus physical output you have is pretty ridiculous, and Tiny doesn't have any base armor to play with. So you can kind of punish if 9 does come up. Keen to see just how much they can get out from that first level, because level 2 to 3 is going to be a big spike for Tundra. As you mentioned, that's where the aggression should kick in. So having a chance to look elsewhere, down in mid, Thompson, creating blows with Analog early on. Already running a little bit low on the mana, using the Death Pact, has a little bit left for Tar Bomb spam, but is controlling the lane pretty nicely. On top of the nice 4-3 up against the 2-2 of Analog. It just Thompson clinks, just spam that Tar Bomb and run down. Relatively easy to just keep it shoved out in your favor here all the time.
It certainly is. We should have a look at that final lane as well. Of course, bot lane FCR and King RD are up against Snaking and Skidder. Now, this bot lane should be okay for VKS, right? Like, you've got a Visage, you've got a Tusk. Chances are both sides is going to trade farm. I was about to say I don't expect too many kills here, but here we go. Snaking going to get jumped immediately, and he is down. There you go, Jonathan. Caster's Curse coming in hot.
That it does. I mean, again, we talked about the Phases Void pickup to dodge out the damage coming out from VKS. A Treant, Nature's Prophet, can't really do that. He doesn't have Time Walk. So if he cops it, he cops it, and cops it fast. Although Snaking, looking for a snipe.
He might get his revenge very, very early, as FCR now going to drop. Skidder, we'll back off. We'll leave King RD alone. But they get their revenge. Snaking, I'm sure, will be pretty happy with that trade, in fact.
Not going to be too upset and giving kill over. And they still find little. You get some solo EXP for Skidder. He has some tangos to play with. One more shared tango in the backpack. And again, you just kind of hold your own. And then the lane does get a little bit trickier as time goes on until Time Walk's at a decent level. So you should still be able to look for that nuke opportunity up top. Trading blows here.
9's getting very low, though. He's going to go for the toss back onto 33, but it is not going to work in his favor as 9 is down. And 33, he is struggling. Like, they are doing a fantastic job at this top lane, KJ and Costa Bile, of really making it hard for Tundra. As 33 now going to have to go for a run because the homing missile is going to land, and they'll have a follow-up magic missile now. So 33 might be going down to boot, but not quite. He is okay just with the stick charges. He will barely survive. As in comes 9 again. But 9, he's got level 1 toss and level 1 tree grab. Like, there's not really much he can do.
That was such a clever play by Costa Bile, holding on to that melee creep so he has something to bounce flat cannon off of.
Oh, very nice.
Just maximizing every single step to look for that opening. trying to find these openings. This is what you have to do when you're up against Tundra. You have to find all these small things to play with. They are finding them so far up top on VKS. A decent enough start coming out for VKS, although the mid lane is starting to suffer. Analog's starting to drop really low up against Thompson. 19 to 10 on that Clinks, although
they're going to snowball in. Thompson, he's still actually trying to go after Analog, realizing there's no real way out. Snaking sprouts him into boot. Why the hell not? Thompson going to try to go for a run, but is certainly dead. Snaking, he will go for the chase after King RD. In fact, never mind, he'll turn back towards Analog, but he doesn't have the lockdown nor the damage to finish them off. Unless he's going to sprout back up and they're going to snowball back in. King RD continuing with the tag team now. So Snaking still trying to run. Does have the Fairy Fire and will survive as King RD. Will go down. Analog almost dropping along with him. In comes Thompson again. The Thompson is back, but it seems like Analog will be okay.
He scoots out of there with his life intact. Has a water rune to give him a little bit of a boost. Has something to play with, but with Thompson fully reset,
Costa
show that lane for even a moment.
Here comes that power spike we were talking about earlier, John. They've got the Avalanche Toss and they've got the Cinder Brew now, with the Urn Charge, by the way, of 33. So this is where the top lane gets very difficult. So now, if they land a Cinder Brew into an Avalanche, you are almost guaranteed to just die.
Yeah, you're not going to be surviving that output. They are starting to force a response down mid. Thompson.
FCR. Thompson, mid lane, is going to be in a bit of danger. FCR, in the meantime, still being chased down bottom, though Skidder cannot quite reach. Thompson, he is still alive, but not for long. The tornado does land, and Thompson will go down as Analog. He will hand the tip over to King RD for the great rotations of the Tuscan. I might agree, John. King RD has been doing some fantastic work.
And he has. Again, we saw him do this in the last game as well. Setting up for the Sunstrike kills.
A lot of action here in this game. 133 now getting caught out. Go for the Thunderclap and the run. And with the Storm Brawler stance, he will be able to walk his way out just fine. The KJ is still chasing, but wouldn't have had the damage. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Snaking. Getting caught out will go down to King Art.
Finding some openings on the side of VKS, trading back and forth. I feel like the space being given out to Skidder is sort of a concern. This Faceless Void isn't really being contested when left alone solo up against the Visage, and this is where this Faceless Void pick comes in handy. You don't care too much, you've got the time walk. You can always bail out when you're being committed on, and they get the rotation out early here from 33.
FCR in danger. 33 with the rotation. Looks like it is going to pan out immediately. And he has the urn up, so it's just a nice, easy way of getting through the Gravekeeper's Cloak, of course. And what does work out quite nicely is he will go right through the Twin Gates back towards the top lane. Meanwhile, 9 may have his Wisdom Rune stolen, but a nice preemptive Avalanche, knowing that KJ was somewhere around there, does still pick up the Wisdom. And now KJ probably going to die. Snaking. He was trying to go for a steal of his own, but he cannot get it. And he gets a deny. He actually gets the deny on the creeps. Meanwhile, KJ is still running from 9, but Avalanche is back up. He just needs to get within range, and he is. Toss. Oh, he was out of mana. It won't matter, though. Surely, KJ. One more hit. There it is. 9 will get it.
God. That is disgusting. I just don't understand why King RD didn't aggro the creeps. Or didn't manage to aggro the creeps, actually. And Snaking still slips by. Nice little trades coming out. Feels a little bit better for Tundra. But you're not too bad off. You're on the side of VKS. You are still at least finding your Wisdom Runes coming out. So you're not being starved out as much as you'd be expecting to up against Nature's Prophet. So far, a rather even game. I don't think it's leaning one way or the other just yet. You're getting some decent farm coming out in your gyro. A little bit of a smoke out from VKS now. Analog, King RD, and KJ ready to go.
Yeah, certainly so. 3-man smoke up towards the top lane where they'll try to focus on 33. 33 still at level 5, so has no primal split available. He'll have to try and walk the old-fashioned way, but there is no getting out of that. Costabile handed the kill by VKS. I appreciate the amount of attention they've been giving 33. You don't want to give this guy a good game. Meanwhile, FCR, though, also being chased across the map. Thompson and 9 both having a look around for somebody. The Visage is really the only target they have. But he is hugging that tier 1 bottom tower at the moment. 9 about to see him. FCR is going to be able to walk away, and it seems like this time they will miss out.
No.
Top lane.
You don't find the opening. Oh.
It hasn't ended yet, John. 33 may get caught soon. They are waiting patiently for the Brewmaster to show himself.
They are, but they do have vision onto this clump up, so 33 is just going to be hugging around unless he can get a little bit of a flank in, maybe a TP in, but no one's really coming in from the side of Tundra, so they'll surrender the top tier 1.
33. Aggressive plays here from the Brewmaster. He does have level 6 though, so he wants to try and play like this. Snaking, also TPing in, but not really finding anyone to jump in on. They do at least get the Tusk. King RD, though, going to buy a bit of time with a snowball back towards 9. Toss back the way of his teammates, though. So King RD getting tossed around like a ragdoll. Eventually will die. With that, I mean, it's not the greatest kill, but Tundra, they'll take it. It's something.
Yep. It's not the biggest deal in the world. At the same time, it's a nice little pickup for Thompson to help accelerate on this Clinks. So far, again, you are buying a ton of space here for VKS, for Costabile to just farm up on that Jar Copper. Though I believe he does have his crystals flying out, so farm acceleration should be in play. At the same time, you are starting to ramp up on Thompson, and even Skitter, you know, the Faces Void, not the fastest farmer, is number 2 in net worth because of the relatively free lane Skitter did have. So he's going to be able to kick into gear on that Faces Void sooner rather than later. Does have the Midas recipe flying out now as well. And the main thing now for both sides is really the aggression from everyone else. Like the tempo that you can expect from FCR and the tempo that you can expect from 33. It's going to be on the off lanes and mids here. And it does feel like you have more uptime for sure. On a Visage, the Familiars just being alive as long as they don't die. It's much more consistent presence in comparison to the split reliance of the Brewmaster for these wider fights. But they are more than happy to farm on Tundra. They're forcing VKS to be the ones to dictate and try to find a way in here.
Oh, they're going to know Thompson's around this bottom lane. King RD having his smoke broken. Get some vision down. Thompson will see all this, of course, so he'll retreat, seeing how many heroes were around the area. Skitter will try to do the same, but now the chase is on. That Costabile even showing up. Skitter, he is trying to run, but the shards will lock him in. He's forced to chrono and just run around the chrono. He might still make it. The time walk away. They cannot kill him. A defensive chrono, but it's not like Skitter wants to fight anyway. He just wants to farm.
Yeah, and that's so much space. They managed to clear out mid. They don't need to rotate anyone else to help Skitter out down bot. So they take an objective for nothing, just costing Chrono, but he's got Midas, he wants to farm. Analog reveals his position with that Ghost Walk.
And he does.
Oh?
So at least get the shield rune here for King RD. The thing is, you lost your mid-tier 1 tower while that bottom fight was happening, right? Like, it's a pretty big deal to just hand that over to Tundra. So they do sneak it away, and now FCR, speaking of being sneaky, Thompson trying to get a solo pick off for himself, though he may have gone a bit too far. Skitter trying to help out Thompson, he will go down. VKS, a great pickup as they do find the mid Clinks, and well, Thompson, you saw how much damage he did to that Visage, but VKS at the very least sticking as a unit, not allowing the Clinks those easy pickups.
Yeah. It's kind of using the bounty rune as bait as well, but the Visage, not the easiest target to burst down, even with just the level 1 Gravekeeper's Cloak at that point, with a full Solar Crest up, and does have enough armor to kind of sit through the siege that the Clinks provides, and now they can kind of go for a push, so...
Oh, nice shards. King RD gonna lock in 9. Familiars are incoming. Thompson around the area trying to help out by taking down the Tusk. They've actually still saved the Tiny as well. He will be able to walk out of here. So 9 is fine. King RD is the one to go down. Now they might even find a cheeky Familiar, but not quite. It does manage to get out of there.
Good punish. Holds off on the mid push as well. The side of VKS can't fully commit. Try to find that objective. This is still a ton of good space coming out for Costabile. A Gyrocopter 2 parts away from full Ags, but it doesn't feel like he's finding enough of a lead over Skitter. Like, this faces Void, despite having lost this Hero and Tower relatively quick. With the Midas is not too far behind, around a 900 gold deficit, 900, 800 gold deficit in comparison to a Gyro, who theoretically is supposed to farm a lot faster, is not a bad position. So despite all the space, I don't think you're finding enough for VKS to feel comfy here. Skitter's farm is still on point. Thompson's hanging up there, has some stacks, clearing out with 33. 33 going for the Radiance. So the mischance for the Gyrocopter down the line is just going to be a massive nuisance for that hero. And they're kind of holding back in this aggression that VKS wants to bring out. Like, compare this to the last Invoker game of Analog, where he was hammering in all these Sunstrikes. Granted, he didn't go Exhort this time, but they're not able to really play off the back of, say, just pick-off potential here on the side of VKS. They're having to try to drag in multiple heroes, and they're not really finding too much for their trouble. So it's a slower pace, and Tundra, when they're left alone like this, are just much more efficient on the map.
But they absolutely are. This is like, it feels like Tundra's game, right? Like, you just give them the space, they'll just start doing all this wacky stuff, and at the very least, Costabile, he is having a pretty good time farming on that Gyrocop. Like, he's still top of the net worth board, but against a Faceless Void, that may not feel that great, to be quite frank with you. Like, if the Void's still staying on parity, when it comes to farm, we know how strong these Voids can be as the game gets later. And Chrono never gets old as an ability. Now, see how they do intend on trying to deal with this. It's Tundra now occupying the dire jungle. Not so much looking for an opportunity to kill, but rather just buying themselves time and space. Now, VKS will do the exact same thing. They have bought time for Skitter to have the full the Maelstrom up now, so his farm will start to escalate quite a bit. Costabile is very close to the Aghanim Scepter on the Gyrocopter, so happy days for him, but you know, I just worry about the Gyro when it comes to just having that equal kind of net worth to the Void. It's never going to feel that great.
No, certainly not. I think the one thing you can bank on here for VKS is that you have some answers for both the Chrono and the Cyclone, right? So again, you have the swap.
Yeah.
Your Gyrocopter is caught in Chrono, swap out. Perfectly fine. Your Gyrocopter is caught in the Cyclone, swap out. That can save, but it takes a long time for you to hit some good strides with swap. Like, the moment where it feels like you're never going to be able to pin down the Gyro is like level 20 with a minus 15-second nether swap, and that's a long ways off. There's still going to be openings where you're going to have to commit 2 spells, but you're always going to be able to put that Gyro out of the pool, out of contention in these fights. Trying to smoke around here on the side of VKS. They could try for Roshan, and they are clumping up for that. They've got the full Ags on Costabile, with a Chrysalis, with Tag Team and the Familiars, and the Wave of Terror. Not going to take too long here.
Roshan will be taken quite easily, VKS. We'll see what they can get away with this Aegis, though. Like, it's one thing to take Roshan, but it's a matter of what you can do with what Roshan gives you. Obviously, that mid-tier 1 tower would probably be a great start for VKS to try and, you know, get some kind of prize out of this Aegis that they will now acquire. Hell, maybe even just the top tier 1 tower might do it for them. And speaking of that top tier 1, it just goes down to creeps. Mid-tier 1 tower it is. They have smoked up as 5. Thompson is going to reveal himself up at that top lane, and that'll be an amazing pickoff, but they're going to go down to the bottom instead and go for a bigger team fight. They'll run to Snaking, though. Not exactly the target they want. It is just going to be a pos 5 profit they'll get.
Yeah, not the biggest deal in the world for snaking. As long as no one else gets caught out, Skitter backs off at the right moment. Should be able to just fully retreat. So VKS... Oh?
The thing is, you don't want to jump the Brewmaster because he'll just split. It's not like you can burst him quick enough.
No. Not going to be under threat. They are still set to collapse, though.
Well, they'll try now. Cold Snap is out. Primal Split is going to be able to come off just in the nick of time. 33, though. Can he get the Prulings out? Not quite. A very aggressive position. Like, earlier on when we talked about it, John, he had his team around him. This time he just goes right past the river on his own with no backup, and yeah, they just annihilated the Brewlings.
Yeah, I mean, Flak Cannon with a Chrysalis and Ags. You've got enough output to kind of melt those level 1 Brewlings. takes a long while for them to get really tanky to kind of withstand that punishment. So, good opening being found by VKS. Tundra maybe not quite necessary to lose out on 33 there. But again, they're kind of playing the stall game. They want more items to be up in Skitter. They want more on Thompson as well. He does have the Deso up on the Clinks. Dragonlance next into the Shard. And even just the Deso alone, this is where the Clinks should start to pop off, right? Like, this is where you can start looking for that. Venge, looking for, heck, even something like the Visage can melt. So this is where Thompson should start to play his game.
Jesus, PTP, all that time you couldn't show us the death summary of 33? My goodness. Come on, PTP. We're paying you good money, PTP. Show us the death summary. Show us the death summary, PTP. What are you doing? There you go. Thank you, PTP. We appreciate it. Bot lane, Snake
why you
King.
gotta do that to him?
Skitter, Chrono up, he's got it.
Oh.
Just cancel the TP of Analog, no wasting time. Beautiful pickup. They could still go after King RD, though he will TP away. And now mid lane, FCR. He will also get caught. Familiars, doesn't seem like they're going to be too lucky either. They both get bursted down. So Tundra is starting to really get their tempo going.
There they are. They're finding some punishment. They're breaking up the side of VKS. When they're not stuck together as a team, again, this lineup excels at pickoffs on the side of Tundra. And it's basically global pickoff potential, with NP TPing in on top of the Clinks, with how he can weave around the map. Good invasion of the triangle from Thompson as well. And just denying some resources away. VKS are still hanging as a trio up top, though, playing off the back of Costabile. Satanic almost fully done on the gyro. So some good sustain to play with. Not focusing too hard on damage here for Costabile, which I do appreciate that he wants that sustain. We'll see. It's right now the one issue for VKS on top of all of this movement is that it's only Costabile farming. FCR is taking the backseat. Analog has not popped off, and there's not too much they can do to stop that. They'll lose their Tormentor here as well. So freebie for 9. Always nice to have.
I mean, it's you know, unlimited tree grab, I guess. It's unlimited charges on the tree grab is something for the Tiny. Sure.
Yeah. Support Tiny is not the best, but, you know, down the line, you've got your free shard for when you kind of want to pick up a moon shard, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like at 40 minutes, you'll look back and it's like, I'm so happy I got this at 20 minutes.
Fair. I suppose it was that or Curse of the Overgrowth, which is, you know, that's another ability, I suppose.
Yeah, that's honestly, the Curse of the Overgrowth might have been better, but, you know, you look at the positives here, Mike. You look at the positives. You've got the Axe for snaking, so you get the Axe, the Shard will go to 9. That's it.
Very, very nice. Top tier 2 tower going to be under siege. The bottom tier 2 will also be under siege from Tundra. BKB now fully available on Skitter, so he might want to try and go for a fight. Costabile, though, he's just about to pick up the Reaver to finish off his Satanic. So suddenly the Gyrocopter, he does become a bit more of a menace to deal with. Speaking of a menace, top lane, King RD going to chase down 9 on the Tiny. KJ will be there to help out. 9, though, he does avoid the Sunstrike, but the swap is out. And with the tier 3 tower damage, he's not getting away.
Nah, but that drags them so far away from any other point of action here for VKS. Again, so much space for Tundra. They've got the full BKB up for Skitter. They've got Thompson just clearing out more Tormentors. 33 gets it now as well. Never going to snaking, huh? That's rather unfortunate, but you get the longer duration split. More utility for 33. Radiance also not too far off now. It should be pretty much up in 60 gold. So the timings are lining up for Tundra. 8k lead, 10 to 10. Again, if you're not playing aggressive here on VKS, Tundra will just outfarm you on the map. They just know how to be efficient. They're math nerds. They know what's efficiency.
Absolutely. Tier 2 mid tower, though, is going. Like, VKS, they are still fighting outer objectives. Costabile seems to want to try for the high ground, at least force back the side of Tundra. 9, though, this is a bit of a force back. Costabile, he got tossed back into a chrono, but the swap is there. They will save for now. Problem is, he will get tornadoed up, so they've still got the gyrocopter held down, and now the root's coming out. He's forced to fight. Costabile, can he do it? It seems like he'll cop a bit of damage, but he's okay to back off for now, but Nine's back in again. Avalanche and toss out. The Visage is down. Costabile, he does not have a Satanic available. Thompson comes in from the backside. That is just a complete wipe for the side of Tundra. That's kind of the thing. You know, you've got this tiny toss back. It can be a little bit worrisome here for the gyrocopter.
That it can be. You are seeing some of the saves kick in, but with the Satanic, you don't have that much damage. You're kind of relying on being alacritied up almost all time here on the gyrocopter, on Costabile, to try to deal with the onslaught from Tundra, and it's just not enough. Even a one-man chrono is, you know, in any other game, you might feel bad about it, but in this kind of game, you don't mind. You've got enough from everyone else outside.
They've got the Invoker this time, and Analog, he just... Ooh. Oh, he gets away. The Ghost Walk. It disjoints some of the attacks, so he will be able to survive just a little bit longer. Problem is, King RD will get left behind. The KJ is moving back in as Nine now gets the Invoker.
Oh my
Analog
God.
moved back in for a second, gets caught by Nine. The Nine will give his life up for it, but it's well worth it. Tundra, they'll be more than happy with those trades.
For sure. And KJ tried his best to save. Another swap with the damage reduction as well, doing a ton of work there for the Invoker to kind of hang in with a sliver of HP, but makes the wrong choice to walk up onto the left side. Does get punished, and that's still not enough to stop Thompson from pushing. I mean, tier 2 tower falls anyway. So the sacrifices were made. You're still losing map space, and Tundra again just choking out VKS. 15k up, 17 to 11. Not the most action-packed game, but man, whenever some of these fights break out, Tundra just finds a way to make these fights work in their favor. Now again, we saw an early launch up by VKS, and now it's really not doing much. Like, yeah, you're still number one in Costabile. Look at the sacrifice Analog's had to make. Analog is lower net worth than Snaking and Nine on the Invoker.
Yeah.
The mid-Invoker.
Yes, he is. Yes, he certainly is, Jonathan. Not a very happy position for a mid-invoker. And in case you just joined the stream, this is a position to invoke you're watching. 8k net worth is not something you get to see very often for a mid-invoker, but it happens. At least he has a Midas, right? You know? He'll catch up one day, John. Eventually.
Eventually. He will. We need to see some of these combinations kick in. Like, again, there's no instant burst with the Sunstrike, with Exert being so low level right now. I don't know, like, you play around with just alacritying up your gyrocopter when he comes in. Look for the right alacrity moment as well. You have to kind of wait out the Cyclone. You have to maybe think about the Chrono. There's a lot of things to consider for VKS when these fights break out.
Thompson.
They might force something out here.
Costabile, you don't want to be at the front, I don't think so. Oh, that Satanic up. Like, you saw how much damage they can pump out against the gyrocopter. Ag's now coming out for the Visage, so you're going to have that Silent as the Grave now available for SCR, and that can be quite annoying, especially for this next Roshan fight. They will smoke up as 4. Side of VKS, they want to try and move in for a fight. They've got the 4 Daedalus built up on Costabile as well, so they want to try and abuse this power spike, but he does not have buyback gold now. So if he dies, the fight is as good as over. Costabile will show himself. The jump is there. 9, he's going to make the jump in immediately, though he does get stunned up. It's a bit of a messy fight for Tundra, but Skidder, he does jump in for a nice chrono. He found 3 targets. Analog is gone. They've even lost KJ on the Vengeful Spirit, and now Skidder, he can get right to work. Costabile, who are you even attacking, sir? He doesn't know where to go, what to do. There's nothing to do. He's just down. Thompson with a triple. FCR, just surrounded by the trees, will also go down as Thompson gets an ultra kill for himself. What can you do? A full team wipe.
Not much you can do about that for VKS. Good angle being found once more by the side of Tundra. Just kind of collapsing and snaring the side of VKS in that area. Unfortunate that Skidder did steal that Rampage from Thompson, but it is what it is. You know, it happens. I'm sure Thompson will find another opportunity elsewhere. as they will take Roshan. No problems here from the side of Tundra. Aegis and Cheese going their way. And VKS now, it's starting to feel like they missed their timing. Because even scaling into late game here, their teamfight presence is just not the same. It's not the same as Tundra's. You have to deal with Chrono. You have to deal with even just the Ags up and snaking, the Rat of Nature route. You have to expend so many resources to find Thompson sneaking around, trying to look for these pickoffs. He has the full Daedalus up. Like, this Clinks is an assassin on a mission. And for VKS, it's all about just trying to keep building up in Gyro. But again, it's just Gyro farming. No one else has farm here.
Well, here we go, 9. Forced staff to the high ground. Will not go down yet, but the shards will lock him in. Meanwhile, Thompson just kills off Analog on his own. 9 somehow still alive. 9 actually blinks away. He's fine. He had no help around him. But they just weren't confident to move up high ground. They just didn't have enough vision. Meanwhile,
enough vision. Oh,
in the triangle, snaking, he might be baiting here for Thompson, who's sneaking up from the backside, but no. Snaking will drop, Thompson will leave him. So they do at least get a profit. It's something.
Is something. It's not the biggest deal in the world. Thompson just waiting for someone to kind of eat up this creep wave. No one biting the bait just yet. Does have the arcane rune ready as well, so he's going to be running around on a very low cooldown relatively soon. And does not opt to try to play tag with the Gyro, not without some backup. Will just take away more resources. Again, Tundra, whenever these kinds of trades happen, they just work the map so damn well. VKS are so clumped up. It's only your Gyrocopter farming. FCR has nothing. Analog has nothing. Yeah. Your two cores have less farm than snaking.
Kick RD getting the Thompson Clinks experience. Very nice.
2 cores less than the enemy NP. Well, FCR slightly ahead, but this is disgusting.
It's a pretty revolting experience if you are Keyd Stars at the moment. Tundra, in no rush to put it into this game. I think they're having a lot of fun in this game one, as lines have been drawn through the bottom lane, but as we've seen throughout all our games today, it's, you know, there is a lot of hesitation going high ground because it does prove to be very challenging. FCR,
But it does.
they're going to try and make the jump in on the Clinks. Thompson will just walk away. 9, well, they're still going to chase him down. Tops is still being targeted, but 9 does save the day, tossing Thompson out. He will be able to retreat and reset. 33, though, forced the primal split to be able to get the fight going and be able to survive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, the Tusk back in on Thompson, but Thompson just annihilates him. Back onto the Gyrocopter. Skidder, not even requiring the Chrono, just doing it the old-fashioned way, and Costabile can do nothing. He can do nothing but watch it happen.
Yeah, they can't stop this. With the threat of Chrono still ready as well, the high ground's just going to get torn apart. And there's not much they can do to stop it on the side of VKS, even with relatively short respawns.
Split push. There goes your top tier 3 tower. Thompson's racing his own team to find a Rax. And he's actually winning that race, by the way. We'll leave the area now. But I think for the Keyd Stars, it's... This game is looking pretty much as good as over at this point, not to be anti-hype, John. That last team fight was without Chrono being committed, and now the Chrono has been committed. He'll find 2 more targets plus some familiars, and they just get destroyed. Xanalog, he will die once again on the Invoker. They do have buybacks available, but I don't really know if they even want to commit it at this stage. Like, the game's just so one-sided. It might just be time to call it. The Gyro is coming up in 3 seconds. They'll go one more time, perhaps. There's your Gyrocopter. Are we going to buy back? They'll commit all the buybacks, but the Ancient is completely exposed. They are just ignoring the heroes, and that's game over. Game 1 to go the way of Tundra. They remain undefeated here today for the road of tier...